Hello, everybody, to episode 5 of the Run So Fast podcast. That's right, we are at 5 despite being less than 2 weeks in. Today's a very special episode. Romaine is on leave because she's focusing on the Taiwan Open coming up this Saturday and Sunday. I believe she flies Friday. She competes in the 800 and the 1500 meters. She has told me in what order, in classic me fashion. I forget which is coming before the other. I think it's the 8 before the 15. And she's been training for both events and seems to be in relatively good spirits. So good luck, Romaine. Today, I'm actually a guest on this podcast, and I'm going to be introducing our host, Dr. Daniel Balbrook. Hello, Dan. How are you doing today?
Hello. Great to
Yeah.
be here. We debated before this whether I was just gonna pretend to be Remain for the get away with it. But then
No,
you
I mean, this is Singapore, right? Singaporeans, colonialism is still alive and well in Singapore, and there are lots of companies that love getting a white guy as a boss or CEO on the board just to give it a semblance of more legitimacy. That's exactly what I'm doing on this podcast now. Numbers have been good. Episode 1 is like at 2,000 views, I think. Episode 2 is at 1,200. Episode 3 is at 1,200. Uh, these three running specific podcasts are actually 1, 2, and 3 all time in Singapore for running podcasts alone. Running specific podcasts alone. This is not counting like mainstream news platforms that might feature myself, and some of those can get like 500,000 views or whatever it might be, or 100,000 views or whatever it might be. But we're talking about running specific podcasts. These three are 1, 2, and 3, and we've just started. So episode 4 was Aaron. That one was a bit broken. Aaron tried to record on his iPad, so I hope you're not on your iPad, Dan. I did send you very specific instructions. Do not record on iPad. I'm going to be saying that to every one of our guests. Are you on iPad or are you on a computer?
I am on a fully functioning MacBook, but as you well know, I don't actually own any headphones. I don't even own AirPods because I'm
How do
quite
you listen?
boomer.
If you do not own AirPods or headphones, how do you listen to music or podcasts when you're running? Because you're a big fan of the podcast, you've been listening to every episode.
So I used to have Aftershocks headphones. I should probably like not mention brands. But um, I used to have I used to have headphones that I used to, the bone conduction ones.
Yes.
I actually bought from Tokyo, and
Yeah.
I didn't read the warranty, but they didn't last too long. So
Oh
since
no.
since then, I just run with my phone on full volume.
That's the most uncle thing I've ever heard. Like playing podcasts on full volume in the public open, holding your phone next to your head.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, someone needs to get Dan a pair of headphones. But
yeah.
further introductions on Dan. I met Dan here in Battersea Park. He's one of our Battersea Bandits, and actually our not a founding member, but first member of the Battersea Bandits. So Richard Bone and I founded the Battersea Bandits in Battersea Park in October 2023. Dan
Mm.
was our first joining member. Dan has gone on to PB many, many times in the marathon, in the half marathon, in the 5K since. The only event we haven't helped Dan PB yet is the 10K. We are working on it.
Yeah.
Dan has a PhD from Oxford University in what subject? Something nerdy. That's all I remember.
Uh, just call it biochemistry.
Biochemistry, there we go. So he's obviously smart. Singaporeans, we all love a good Oxford graduate. We are a very academically inclined society. And Dan is married with one child. How old is your kid at the moment?
Yeah, my daughter Elodie is 18 months, so a year and a half.
A year and a half. And has becoming a dad made you a faster or slower runner, or the same?
You know the answer. It's
Well, I
a
remember
weird
you.
one.
Oh, hang on. You PB'd in the 5K and the 5K road. You ran 15:25, and then
Yeah.
marathon. You ran a PB of 2:33, I believe. With as a dad. So did. But yeah, sorry. So my answer is you got faster. Is that the right answer?
I got fast. So everyone talks about, oh, a baby is gonna it's gonna change your life, and your life's gonna get really difficult once you have a baby. And that's not actually true. Your life changes and gets hard once you have a toddler. So baby phase actually is pretty easy. And like
Okay.
I actually had a really good paternity leave when she was born. I had 8 weeks off.
Nice.
It sort of folded into Christmas, so I kind of had a really good like training camp because of the paternity leave, um, which then set me up for my 5K PB. And
Nice.
then yeah, I don't. I mean, I think I just with any marathon block. So I did Valencia, as you know, in December last year. So not even that long ago now. I mean, 6 months ago now. Um, for a marathon block, you have to take it so seriously. It's not like a 5K, 10K. You always have like a pretty decent aerobic base, but like you don't need to be that fit. Like you just get some speed in your legs and you just go. And if you have a bad race, fine, you can have another race and you can keep that intensity. But I think I was so focused for Valencia. I was like, it's now or never. I know my daughter's starting nursery in January. I have to nail this now. So I took it so seriously, and I think that helped focus the training for Valencia. But since then, this year, my daughter's older. She's more active. She's now walking, running around. She's loud. She's gets ill. Like little babies who go to nursery, they must be like bring it like cooking up the next COVID in there because I've never been so ill in my life as I have this year, and I'm just building back from quite a few illnesses, I think. So
Yeah. I mean, I've seen you at your best and at your worst since becoming a dad in terms of being a runner.
yeah,
You were at your best in terms of fitness, and then uh, earlier this year at least, I think you were at your worst. I got a feel like uh, whenever Dan has a disappointing race or disappointing session, I get like a 3 or 5 minute voice message inside my WhatsApp, and then it's just him like being extremely distraught, cursing, basically unloading his emotions onto me. So that's when the coach has to be a bit of a psychologist as well, or a shrink as well, and work your way through the mental health issues that any young dad and any runner really. Runners are actually a hotbed for mental health issues. This is like not talked about enough. I think anyone who signs up for a marathon is a bit mentally health wise like not at 100% anyway. Because why else would you put yourself through that? But here we are.
yeah. Well, you're a life coach as well. You don't advertise it, but yeah.
I
When I'm
try.
when I'm
I,
crashing out on the way home from Sri Chinmoy races, there's only one
I-
there's only one person who can listen to that and not just be weirded out by it. I think you find it funny, if anything. So
Yeah, I do find it funny. And after enough time has passed, I usually forward like a 6-month-old voice message into the wider Battersea Bandits WhatsApp group for everyone's enjoyment. And I think by that point you find it funny as well. So at least we that's how we get along and work together quite well. But anyway, Dan, 2:33 marathon runner, 15:25 5K runner. Which one would you say is your stronger performance between the two? Both since joining our Battersea Bandits, so we're very proud of you.
Mm. Um, I would still say the 15-25. I
Yeah?
think I think particularly as I'm turning 36 next week, and I feel like
Aha!
if you
My
can say that
birthday invite must have been lost in the mail.
well, you know what you don't know what it's like yet. I mean, you will do one day, hopefully.
Yeah, trying to put that
But
off for as long as possible.
June doesn't listen to this podcast, does she?
Uh, I don't think so, but June asked me multiple times a day how many kids we're gonna have, when are we having kids, whether we want a boy or girl, whether we want twins. So she's thinking about it a lot more than I am.
Yeah.
But she also has seen like the June's my wife for listeners. But she's also seen how tiring it can be when we go to a restaurant or on the train and a kid just starts bawling at like maximum decibels
Yeah.
in the middle of the restaurant or on board the train, and she's just like, oh, actually, like maybe I'm not ready to give up 100% of my freedom yet. I still want to travel. I still want nice things. I'm like, yeah, well, you choose. Like we can go to Lake Como, and I can save up to get you a luxury handbag or two, but we can't have that and the kid. right? In fact, once we have a kid and the finances start dwindling down, I might start selling some of her luxury handbags on Naughty's websites, with or without her knowledge. But anyway, this is episode 5 of the Run So Fast podcast, and Dan is actually going to be hosting this episode today. Yeah, so I think I've introduced him relatively comprehensively. I'm going to hand the reins over to you, Dan, and you're the boss now. I'm the guest.
Yeah, I've had my moment. Wow. So this is I have never hosted a podcast before. I've never been on a podcast before that anyone actually listens to. So I've
Well,
been on.
totally running. You've been on totally running like twice.
I
People
know.
listen to totally. Is a Southwest London niche? Yes, it's niche, but
Yeah,
Southwest London is a hell of a lot of runners. Yeah,
it
you have like,
is. It
you have
is.
like, you have 210, 212, sub 210 guys listening to that podcast. So yes, niche, marathon guys listening, like basically national to world class marathon guys listening to that podcast. So, niche, but niche in a very strong area of running in Southwest London.
Yeah. The quality of the listeners is high. Just the numbers are low.
I don't
um,
actually know the numbers. We'll get Ian to spill the beans.
he doesn't know. I don't think he wants to. He doesn't look at it. Um, wow. I mean, it's an interesting one, like for me as well, because I've known you for about 3 years now. But when you train with someone, when you're friends with someone, I'm never gonna just like turn to you in the changing room and just say, "Oh, hey, Rui, hey, Ray Young. Like, how did you approach that race like years before
Yeah,
I met you?" And
yeah,
actually, I think when I met you, was it 2023? Was when
yeah.
I was it when I met you, I think. I I had no idea who you were, basically. And I think the first time I met you was a long run in Richmond Park,
Oh,
where
nice.
somebody said, "Oh yeah, Rui's coming along." And I'm like, "Oh, Rui, like I'm expecting like a Portuguese European guy to show up."
Like a Rui Silva.
Yeah,
Uh,
like Louis Figo's gonna turn up. And then you turned up, and I'm like, "Who's this Singaporean guy? Like, where's Rui?" Like, and it was you. And I think if I'm asking you to sort of cast your memory back as well, because I think in that moment, I think you weren't. This is like the beginning of 2023, so
yeah,
quite quite a few months before Cambodia SEA
yes,
Games,
yeah.
and you were like, I think you were injured quite a lot at that start of that year or before then.
Yes, you are absolutely right. When I came to London in 2022, I moved into this flat I'm currently in since the first day I've been in London, which was the 31st of January 2022. And I have not moved from this flat in Barnes. So, as you can tell, I'm a guy that's quite easily satisfied in terms of like, I can settle in somewhere nicely and like, unless something very wrong happens, I don't really like get up and move and I don't get unhappy. And I know some people, they move house like every year. I just find it very disruptive. I haven't really done that. So within the first month I was here, my friend from America, Ali Kiefer, was in town, and she invited me to come and do a session with her around Battersea Park. I had no idea what I was stepping into, but it was back then known as the Kissy Group. So I was probably there a solid year before you joined. But the Kissy Group is basically a group of runners led by Coach Phil Kissy, and uh, notoriously their reputation is that there are some pretty good runners on that team, but training is very hard. And I had no idea before I stepped in, right? But then I remember the first session I did around Battersea Park, Ali Kifo was doing 6 times 3 kilometers at 3:15 a K, and the recovery was about maybe 2.5 minutes. And I did 5 of them with her. I was in good shape then, but I just remember thinking, this is an incredibly difficult workout. So Ali Kiva must be in very good shape. And she was very happy that I come down and run with her. She gave me a hug, thank you. And then she was gonna like prepare for the Paris Marathon, which is gonna be like less than 2 months later. I remember Phil Kissy actually came up to me after that, and he must have been impressed with what he saw because he was like, "You young man, you're not going anywhere. You're coming back to train with us." I'm like, "Okay, boss." So I did come back for many more sessions, but I soon realized that in terms of intensity and volume, it just wasn't for me. It was just too much. So the only major injury I've had since turning 30 was actually picked up training with that group. And my back was it just got really, really tight. So it didn't actually start as an injury, but it came to the point where I couldn't train properly or couldn't run fast at least without my hip and my back getting very, very tight. So it was good. It wasn't like a bang, like, oh, I tore my hamstring kind of injury, but it was as good as an injury because I just couldn't train properly. So that was the limiting factor. But yeah, I haven't revisited those memories for a long time. So thank you. Are already asking very good questions. And yes, so when I met you, I was definitely like far from 100% capacity. I was
Mm.
uh, a bit limited on that side, and continued to be the case until I went back to Singapore. And then, after a long story short, I got selected for the SEA Games less than 7 weeks out after a long appeal process. But then I started seeing a chiropractor back home, Dr. David Tan, and I was seeing him like twice a week for like treatment and adjustments and everything while training on it. And eventually it did clear up. Now it could be a lot of things. Like Singapore is a lot warmer than London is in March, so warmer weather tends to help with these things, at least for my body. Uh, Maybe like having something to train for meant that I took better care of myself, which means that that also helps. Also seeing Dr. David Tan may have helped. So a combination of all factors ended up having two pretty good races in Cambodia. But yeah, sorry, that was a long answer.
Yeah, no, because I think at that moment in time, even though I'd sort of like met you a couple of times, like we hadn't. I feel like you weren't really sessioning. I think because you have your back, and I think also what you reminded me of is that when you got selected, I was like, and I heard about it, I heard you were going out to Singapore to train for your training camp, and then you were going to Cambodia. I was like, oh, what is this? What is this SCA Games thing? Because as a London runner, like you just don't hit, like we don't even have a 10,000 meter championship really. Like it's on a Sunday evening, as you know.
And okay, sorry for I mean, like, sorry, our listeners are predominantly Singaporean and all
Yeah,
from Southeast Asia anyway. So SEA, so it's never pronounced the SEA Games. It's the Sea Games. So SEA spells Sea. So it's
right.
either the Sea Games or the Southeast Asian Games. But basically, it is the Olympics for Southeast Asia. It is
Okay.
actually a very, very huge competition of significance in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia makes up 30% of the world's population. So by volume, it's actually quite high as well. And very uniquely and nichely, the Southeast Asian Games holds a lot of historical um, significance in that region because it's your neighbors, right? It's like if England, France, Portugal, Spain, Germany played a football competition every 2 years, and it was like a
Mm.
very like important competition, very intense competition. Like even though it's only like 9 or 10 countries, it would still be a competition of significance. In fact, isn't that what happens with the seven nations or the Six
Yeah,
Nations for rugby?
that's the
Yeah,
equivalent,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
rugby. So
yeah, and rugby is not even a sport that's like very accessible. Like some rich man sport for the most part, right? So, in terms of the Southeast Asian Games, this is a sport that is very, very important if you are coming from that part of the world. Particularly so if you're from a sport like athletics
mm,
or to a certain extent swimming as well. Athletics more so because realistically speaking, the standard of coaching and the standard of talent and the standard of performance in Southeast Asia just has historically not been even on par with the best in Asia. Like the Japanese are way ahead in terms of their sprints, their distance running,
yeah,
compared to a country like Thailand, Singapore, what have you. Um, Lots of factors there. Weather is one, geography is one, culture is one, coaching is one. Just the ecosystem in general just has not been the same, or in fact vastly different. So in Southeast Asia, a lot of things work against like sports performances, particularly so if you're a distance runner. I don't know whether you've seen many of the major Southeast Asian cities. They're not the best in terms of like uh, they're not necessarily a runner's paradise.
yeah,
Whereas when you're here in London, oh my God, like London is amazing in terms of the number of royal parks available, the river, the culture, the competitions, the clubs, you know,
yeah,
everything. And it's a lot easier to excel when the system helps you excel rather than you have to fight the system to perform. Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, also like Spain, every city has a marathon, the flat marathon in Spain. So,
yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
um, but I mean, it was such an interesting moment to meet you in 2023 because I had to learn about the Sea Games. I hadn't real I had to sort of like then like find out what these games were. Two, realize, because I think you spoke about the significance of it for you, is that you it was your first Sea Games for a long time because of disputes or whatever it was.
Yeah, I got banned from two SEA Games for conduct issues, like
Yeah.
not being a proper role model and blah 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 blah. Long story short, the president who oversaw the banning of me for those two SEA Games has since had an extramarital affair and had to step down for his conduct. So, all power to him. But this podcast is not about him. So let's continue.
No. I can't get your side to that story either, but um, I'm sure there's always two sides to every story. But
Yeah,
my
I'm
where
sure
I'm
he
trying to
slipped.
go
I'm
with
sure he accidentally slipped and fell, and his pants fell off, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean, I just haven't slipped and fell yet. That's why my marriage is so strong. Uh, very good balance. Um, But when I trained with you, one, you were kind of injured, but also like I don't think you were like in that great shape when like I'm talking the very beginning of 2023. Like I didn't. I remember thinking, oh, okay, like I can probably like session with this guy, and then you get selected. You have like 6 weeks to train for this at Sea Games, and I remember looking on Strava because like like we're it was quite a tight knit group. And so like we're always kind of interested in like what we're doing,
Yeah.
each of us doing, and we like looking at each other's splits,
I mean,
don't we?
speak for yourself. I don't care what anyone else is doing. I follow one person on Strava, and that's my wife, and that's because she forces me to follow her. But yeah, carry on.
No, you don't even look at my Strava. So, um,
Yeah,
I remember looking at Strava when you went out to. Were you training just in Singapore for your camp?
just in Singapore. Because I was also dealing with my final year exams from University College London. I was in my second year of law school, and thank God that COVID made it such that all
Mm,
exams were submittable online. I didn't have to sit in some like crusty exam hall and handwrite like 3 hour papers because then I wouldn't have been able to do the SEA Games that year. So sometimes luck does play a part, timing does play a part. I mean, COVID did rob me of a lot of opportunities. So this is like example of sometimes like disaster takes away and
mm.
later life pays you back. Yeah,
Yeah, and you weren't in the. Yeah, I'm sure athletes up and down the world were cursing that as well.
exactly.
Um, But I remember looking at Strava and thinking, "Oh my God, like this guy's locked in." And you only had 6 weeks. But I remember looking at your data, thinking like, "Oh, this guy actually is serious." Like, I couldn't do that session, and I feel like the 2023 games was kind of like your one. You didn't have a lot of time, but also I guess
Nope.
you were sort of making up for lost time. And how do you how did you approach that 6 weeks? Did you literally say to yourself, I am going to take this as seriously as possible. I'm going to eat good, drink good, sleep good. Like how did you approach that? Because your fitness just went from my level to like different level in like 6 weeks.
Well, I think those are all very good questions. And now when I look back, I think hindsight is 2020. But the funny thing is that because I wasn't training so hard with you guys, in fact, like I wouldn't say I was like I said I would never call myself injured like in January
Mm,
February of 2023, but it certainly wasn't 100% like operational. Like I had to be careful with the training, which meant that
mhm,
I ran slower. I would never ever go off the first group, the KC group, because I believe it was still the Nick Bowker, Matt Dickinson, and I'm talking about Matt Dickinson in like full form Matt Dickinson, like sub 220 for
mm,
marathon Matt Dickinson. And that year, Nick Bowker ran 216 in London. Uh, Quite a monster run from what I remember. Yes, 2023.
yeah.
So, and then maybe Kojo. Kojo is never far from good shape. So I was never going to train with them, even if I was in full shape anyway, because training for philosophy wise, I'm just a guy who believes in training well within the red line in training. And to train with those guys, I would have to step on the red line, if not cross it. So I would much rather drop back a group. And I believe that I was very lucky because with yourself and Richard Bull. Richard Bull is like obviously he's very sensible. I mean, Richard Bull probably has no business like going off with Group One anyway. But because there were a few of us who kind of had the same thoughts, and Phil Kissy will only really give like one pace group, and that's the top pace group. Everyone else just kind of adjusted from there and scaled back from there. Um, Richard and I were just like, all right, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And then like next thing we do, we start like recruiting people who are going to go at a more like reasonable pace with us. And then that was yourself, the other Richard, I can't
Yeah.
remember his last name, Alice's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then uh, and we had maybe Chris Pocock, and then
Ollie, Oliver
Ollie.
Lee.
Yes, exactly, Ollie Lee. So we had quite a few guys, like at least 6 guys, and we're doing the sessions together. Um, yeah, so we were doing the session together, but at the same time, I don't feel like just because you're doing a session with some other person, your
Mm,
fitness levels are the same. You're doing the same workout, but internally, you don't know what the internal stress is. And I must say that on none of those sessions did I ever feel like I was going all out, and you shouldn't be feeling like you're going all out anyway. Once in a while, maybe Richard would drop like not Boo, the other Rich would drop off a little bit. I don't think you dropped off very much. Sometimes Ollie would cut the workout a bit short because that's what Ollie does.
yeah.
But at the same time, like I always finish the workout with the group at the front of the group, like whatever, right? And I don't race workouts either.
Hmm.
So looking back, that probably was my winter training where you're doing the volume without a whole lot of intensity. But
Hmm.
when I went back to Singapore, it's like, okay, now we're locked in. Now we got, first I had to go and pass an interview, like applying for a job, right? I had to pass an interview so that my conduct was deemed like acceptable to be selected for the team. And then I got selected for the team, and then we had 6 weeks to lock in. I remember I saw the first thing I did was I reported to my Singapore coach, Coach Stephen Quack. I told him, okay, let's give it a shot. I went for training, and he said, just so you know, I don't think you're gonna be in your best possible shape for SEA Games. And like he was very pessimistic about it because he had seen me at my best in 2021. So I would say that if I had to race a version of myself, the 2021 version will be the version I don't want to race because
Hmm.
that guy will kick my ass, or most likely at least to kick my ass. Not that I can't get better than that, but that
Yeah.
was the year. Very locked in the whole year because COVID lockdown in Singapore, not much you can do. I was at my lightest. Not that lighting, not that weight is the only measure to
Yeah.
success, but you know just leaner, lighter, whatever, drinking less beer because lockdown, socially distance and all that kind of shit. But I was at 61 kilograms, I think, at my 177 when I ran 14:44 in Singapore for 5,000 meters. I was just talking to Sean Goh the other day because Sean Goh is basically he's going to be our next distance running king. It's just a matter of time. My job is to make sure that that day is not today, and like wake up and do it as many times as I can. But I mean, sooner rather than later, he's a lot younger than I am. I think 6 years younger. He's gonna be our guy. So he just ran 14:45 for 5,000 meters 2 days ago, 2 nights ago
Yeah.
rather, in Germany. But it was one of those like it was a very good performance. I was very happy for him. But at the same time, some people are asking now that I had one guy who follows track very closely in Singapore. He actually sent me a message after that. He was like, Sean goes run 14:45 after altitude training, after going professional all year. Nowadays with super spikes and paced race, good competition, everything makes me realize how crazy or how strong your 14:44 was in Singapore. If you go on YouTube and you YouTube search my name followed by 5,000 meter national record, you can find a video of it. It's a very sad race. It's like at the Kallang practice track in Singapore, like some spongy track, not even a competition track, like a training track, right? So it's softer than normal. Better than your Battersea track though. Battersea track is to a bit of a renewal. But yeah, 4 guys in the race because that's all they allowed back then, socially distanced. I had 2 pacers and one British man who was in the race he saw there was a race happening, he joined in. Um, I had one pacer take me through 5K. Sorry, just 5K. 2K, 5 laps at 71 seconds a lap, bang on. That was Jivanesh. Ethan took over one more lap, bang on. 7:06 through 2.4 kilometers, and then I had to solo the last 2.6K by myself. But I actually got faster. Once the paces dropped out, I
Mm.
started running 70s. So instead of 71s, I started running 70, 70, 70, 70, and the last lap, bang, I ran 68. I broke the old national record by 7 seconds. But the old national record was in Japan. So that was well paced, good competition,
Yeah.
good weather, everything. And then I had went 7 seconds faster in Singapore. So that was a huge, huge performance. And Sean Goh actually said to me, after he ran 14:45, he was like, yeah, that 14:44 is crazy. Like that's worth 14:20s or 14:30s in Europe in that kind of race. And
Mm.
when I think about it, I I wouldn't go as far as to say it's definitely 14:20, but could I have gone a second faster per lap over 12 and a half laps? Probably. But could have done it, should have done it, never did it, never took that kind of shape into a European race. And I honestly, I've never raced like one of those like Belgium, Germany like time trials where everyone seems to run like 20 seconds faster than what they do in even London. So maybe one day. But I am turning 35 this year, so I cannot keep saying one day. If I want to go out and do it, I gotta go out and do it.
Yeah, what was
Yeah.
that race last year that we were looking at? Was it a Belgium?
Ordegum, yeah. The one where Georgie Gregic ran 15:01 or something like that, and then Brandon Dewar, who I usually finish around the same kind of like time, ran like 14:24 or 14:23 or something like that in Ordegem, Belgium. I mean, I
Mm.
can't even spell that word, Ordegem, so uh, let alone find that race. We need someone like Ur to to find all these like random races for us. But long story short, yeah, I went in like back to your question. I had 6 weeks to go to the Sea Games. Stephen Quack had seen me at my best in 2021. He knew how fit I was. He knew I was nowhere near that shape, but he told me, he said, "Are you sure you want to go for this? Like, you know what people are gonna say if you go there and you don't do well."
Yeah.
I said, "You know what? 6 weeks. Let's see what we can do." Anyway, I'm running the 5K, 10K this time. I'm not running the marathon. So the marathon was the event I had won twice in the past. So in my view, there was only upside, no downside.
Right.
And that's because if I had gone in and like ran terrible at 5K, 10K, then maybe. But I was thinking, like 6 weeks is a lot of time. Let's take it a week at a time and see how we go. So week by week, locked in, bang, 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 got better by week, got better week by week. Took care of the rest and nutrition. I think I maybe started using protein powder for recovery after sessions when I didn't really do that before. Just
Mm.
sometimes when your back's against the wall, you kind of like find new things to that can help you, and or you try and maximize what you can do
Yeah.
rather than being a bit complacent and too relaxed about things. So yeah, eventually went to the Sea Games and in pretty good shape. I had some of my best workouts like right before Sea Games, and it was like 2 sessions a week, right? So Monday I would do faster stuff like 5K pace, like maybe 5K of volume at 5K pace, and then like finishing off with like some 400 slightly faster 3K pace. And then on Thursdays I would do threshold-ish type of sessions, and that was around 78 seconds a lap. When in 2021 I was doing those at more like 76 seconds a lap. So it
Yeah.
was obvious that I was not the same runner, but eventually that still got me in pretty good shape. Because then when
Mm.
I went to the Southeast Asian Games, as the data shows, I ran 14:48, my second fastest time ever in the 5,000 meters, leading a huge part of that race. Uh, Trying to burn off some of the faster kickers. Kind of worked, didn't work fully. I got fourth. When I felt that if I was in my 2021 shape, I would probably have got a medal. And then
Yeah.
looking at the 10,000 meters, well, that was a defining race for myself because I won the Singapore's. I ended up starting conservatively, working my way through the pack. It was 35 degrees in Cambodia, which played to my advantage because a lot of people died. And then I worked my way through the field, and at one point of time was in with a shout of a gold medal, but lost in the final lap to Ricky Martin Luther Simbalon from Indonesia, who is a much better runner than me, but he just had a rough day as well. So ended up with a silver medal, which was the first medal in the 10,000 meters for Singapore in like 40 years or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I think I think most people know the outcome, but I guess a lot of people, what people don't know, I guess, is like, yeah, like like, how did you approach it? Did you go into that thinking, yeah, I think I can medal, I want to medal, or was it just I just want to go there and prove to myself that I deserve to be at these games? Like what? Because obviously your coach as well, like Steven, comes to you, and probably the first question he asked you is like, mentally, where are you at? Because he knows how to train you, he knows you as an athlete, but he wants to know where your head's at, right? So like where was your head at? Were you targeting? Do you target a goal? Do you target a medal, or do you just train and get fit?
Um, you know. Stephen Quack is a very old school coach, and when I say that, there's nothing wrong with being old school. There are lots of values in being old school. Like in that sense, just get on with it. Um, Roy Keane is actually one of my favorite TV pundits, and uh, I love his comments. I love watching him play. But he played for Sir Alex Ferguson, and Stephen Quack owns all of Sir Alex Ferguson's books,
Right.
his autobiographies and his like his theories on coaching and all that kind of stuff. Stephen Quack does model his system around Alex Ferguson's like discipline, accountability, man management, the manager's word is law, that kind of stuff. But and we have, I know you're a football fan, right? Which
Yep.
you're a Spurs fan, so it was a good weekend for you this past weekend. It was
Yeah.
kind of a good day, I guess, on
It's
Saturday.
mixed. It's a mix because I guess they won. Arsenal lifted the Premier League trophy today, so it's a mixed time to be a Spurs fan. But you're a Liverpool fan, right? So
Yeah, yeah. I've been following Liverpool since the 2002 World Cup ended, and I latched onto club football after that. And I'm a guy that doesn't like to support the team on top. I like to support who is like kind of second and third, nipping at their heels. I'm just that sort of character.
yeah,
And I live in Singapore. I'm nothing to do with England at that point of time either. But again, because Singapore was a former British colony, there's a lot of press on the English football team in Singapore, and there are lots of Singaporeans who are fans of the English football team. And there's a lot of press like featuring the English football team, our national newspaper, and all that kind of stuff. At that point of time was like your David Beckham and Michael Owen were like superstars of the game. So there are lots of football fans in Singapore. Sorry, I wouldn't call them football fans. There are lots of Singaporeans who support the English football team and genuinely think that the English team is very good and that
mm,
they can win the World Cup and everything. So they suffer the same kind of disappointment as the English do whenever the English like somehow like lose on penalty shootout or whatever and like fail to come home with anything. But yeah, I looked at it. I did saw Michael Owen score against Brazil and I thought he was kind of cool, so I ended up
yeah.
following Liverpool. Obviously, he goes on to join Manchester United about 10 years later, which is kind of funny. Or not even, like maybe 7 years later. But anyway,
Mm.
I have been following Liverpool for 24 years now. How time flies.
So you say like Liverpool sort of like resembles you and as a person as well, or as an athlete, the sort of up there, competitive, but not like spending the most money or cheating or anything.
uh, well, I did identify with them quite a fair bit because I mean, like, it's not that Liverpool's not poor, but no,
No.
at a point of time, Chelsea was the one spending big.
Yeah.
Manchester United was spending big. Liverpool went to the final against AC Milan and like won on like came back from 3-0 down and won on penalties, and I really really enjoyed that game, and that really solidified like my my love, if you want to call it, for the football club. It's like that game. Like, and if you watch that game, I think it's very hard not to become a Liverpool fan. Like, if
Yeah.
you are neutral watching that game, I think it's very hard not to become a Liverpool fan after that. You take down the best team in the world, AC Milan, at that point of time with their Kaká, Pirlo, Shevchenko, and all those guys, and Carlo Ancelotti was the manager. Like, you don't become like, I think it's very very hard not to become a fan of Liverpool after that kind of fighting spirit. And I try and bring that kind of same spirit into be it my coaching, my running, whatever it might be. You know, most of us are not the best. Most of us don't have the most talent. Most of us don't have the the richest resources. But we can control one thing, and that's how much fight you want to bring to the game, and how much discipline you want to bring to the game, and how much tenacity you want to bring to your game. So I think that's what I try and do.
Yeah. But you're coached by Sir Alex Ferguson, reading
Yeah.
style coach and Stephen Quack. But
It is really funny. Like Stephen Quay is a big sports fan, so not just running. He watches football.
mm,
So he used to send me articles on unfortunately a lot of Manchester United players. So he would send me articles on like or learn from this. Like he'll email me. Yeah, he'll email uh, sometimes me, sometimes a few of us, but mostly me because he knew I was a football fan. So he would be like, learn from this. I know he's a Manchester United player, but learn from this guy. Neil Forward is an article on like Paul Scholes and avoiding a limelight. How Alex Ferguson protects his younger players, the class of '92, by like shielding them from the media and all that kind of stuff. And then Stephen Quack wasn't the biggest fan of David Beckham. He felt that Beckham had too much flair and too much about the hair, fashion. Like Beckham from the start wanted to be a global superstar. It was never just about football for him. And then he got sold by Ferguson because he became too big for his boots, or at least that's what the story goes. So Stephen Quack used to tell me, be more like Ryan Giggs, less like Beckham. And then he used to send me articles on Ryan Giggs, and then Ryan Giggs got into trouble with the whole
Yeah.
extramarital affair thing.
Yeah,
and
but
I stopped getting articles about Ryan Giggs from Mr. Quack. And then he used to send me articles on Tiger Woods about how he like practiced his stroke multiple times a day and was super disciplined and went to the gym and everything. And then Tiger Woods got into that sex scandal as well. Like he was like slept with multiple women, so I stopped getting articles on Tiger Woods. And then I used to get articles about Lance Armstrong and like how many hours he put in on the bike and his discipline and everything. I think he even like may have lent me Lance Armstrong's book, which I did enjoy reading. It was a good read. I mean, Lance is a good storyteller, and as we all found out, he's a good bullshitter as well because he got popped for. Well, he never got popped actually. Sorry, he got popped, but they got covered up or whatever. But eventually, he got outed, and he lost his 7 Tour de France titles, stripped of his 7 Tour de France titles after it was exposed that he ran the most elaborate doping program in the history of cycling. So I certainly stopped getting articles from Mr. Quack about Lance Armstrong.
who is he sending you articles about these days?
I think he gave up. Hopefully, he's sending the next generation articles about me. Uh,
What
but then that doesn't bode well for me either.
It's almost like a sort of like a future fulfilling prophecy with his articles.
Yeah, so please stop sending articles about me. Please.
It just shows you should never have any idols, really. Just stay
No,
humble.
really, no, really. And unfortunately, I mean, like, that's what I tell people nowadays. You don't actually know. And, when you're young and innocent, uh, yeah, I mean, like, lots of young kids looked up to Lance Armstrong.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, here we are. But yeah, so locked in eventually. But here's the thing, like Mr. Quack saw every single one of my sessions, and he could tell he must have been able to tell I was growing from session to session. And I remember like the final session I did before going to the SEA Games, I think it was like K repeats at around 5K kind of pace, and then I took a break, and then I did 2 times 800 meters fast, or like faster. The first rep I ran at 2:14, I think, and then after a short break, I ran the second rep at 66 through the first lap, and then 62 on the second lap. So it was 2:08. Yeah, at the end of a long, long, long. No, not that long, but at the end of a session,
Yeah.
and I I knew that that kind of speed was, or at least that kind of fitness was enough to do something at the SEA Games, not win, but
Mm.
compete quite respectably.
Mm.
And the last thing he said to me before I left, he didn't go to the SEA Games, Mr. Quack. Like, here's the thing about Stephen Quack, like, he he generally doesn't go for the competitions. He just kind of like sees you off, and then he stays back in Singapore to like continue training the bigger group, and then they might watch it on the phone or whatever. But that's who he is. He kind of stays out of it,
Yeah.
which I actually respect that a lot about him, because there are lots of coaches who can't wait to like rub shoulders with their athletes, get photos and selfies, and oh, look at me, this is my athlete, look at what I have done. It's all ego stroking, if you ask me. But
Mm.
Mr. Quack, he really stays out of it. He just lets you go about your business. And he shook my hand before I went, and he said, "Go win your track medal." He
Mm.
said gold medal. He said go win your track gold medal. And I think part of it was probably like just yes a pep talk, but he must have believed that I was capable of doing something. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, in my head, I don't think I'll win a gold medal, but let's see what we can do. I would have been happy with a medal. And I thought as the games grew closer and closer, and when I saw how harsh the conditions in Cambodia were, to me that was a big benefit for me, because I think I generally perform quite well in hot conditions.
Yeah.
I do think that step one to performing well in challenging conditions is to believe that challenging conditions hinder other people more than it hinders you because you're good at it,
Yeah.
right? So if you believe that you suck in it, then you're not starting in a very good place. So
Yeah.
I always believed that I was better than other people when it came to challenging conditions, and so the
Mm.
hotter it was, I was like, "Whoa, this could play out." And then I had a conversation with random conversation with one of the coaches for the Malaysian team, a French guy. He was coaching the Malaysian team, and I was doing my session. They were doing their session. He spoke to me when I was done. He said, "I didn't see you at the Singapore Open this year." I said, "Oh, I was in London. I was still going to university, doing my law degree." And he was like, "Oh, what do you think the pace is going to be like?" And I think it was a bit of a weird question to be asking me, but I said, I don't know really." Then before I could say anything else, he said, "Oh, I think it's going to be quite slow. Like the weather, look at the weather. Like it's so hot, it's so hot." It was hot. It was like 35, 38 on some days. But then I remember thinking that I was like, well, the Malaysians are not prepared for a fast race.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I kind of looked at the list and I was like, well, this guy I'm probably not going to beat. That guy I might beat. This guy, if it's a fast pace, he's not ready. Da da da. I just kind of went down the list, and it occurred to me when I looked down the list that if I ran a pace that was fast enough, I would probably only have to deal with a few people at the end because it was so hot that people were not going to be able to sustain that. I mean, of course, the risk is that you yourself blow up, but then
Yeah.
you can't control everything. So first lap I went out in 70 seconds. Second lap I ran a 69 second lap, something like that. Like it was actually too fast. Wasn't able to sustain it by myself. But then the Indonesian Robbie came around me and like he continued hammering. And then when he let off the gas, I went to the front. I continued hammering. So between the two of us, and then he continued hammering when I let off. So between the two of us, we led the whole race. And by the end, uh, two guys, like one Kiran Tuntivate, the Thai American guy, kicked past us, and then like Sonny from the Philippines kicked past us. Then Robbie was in third, I was in fifth,
Mm.
and the guy in front of me actually slowed down. So by the time I went past him, Robbie had a gap, and that gap narrowed slightly or maintained all the way to the finish. So Robbie had bronze and I was fourth, but I ran the second fastest time ever run in Singapore history. So I was actually very, very happy with that run.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, happiest ever fourth placing ever.
Yeah.
Uh,
It must
but
be. I remember watching it on my phone. It was like the middle of the day in the UK. I remember
yeah,
watching on a I don't know if it was YouTube or some kind of streaming service. I remember watching it, and it was an exciting race to watch. And I wonder, it sounds like even going into it and hearing how you were thinking about it, you were thinking very sort of tactically. You were thinking, okay, like based on conditions, I could go out and I could make these guys hurt. I could make them suffer. Obviously, you don't know what Robbie's gonna do. You don't know what Kieran's gonna do or anyone. But
yeah.
you like the fact that you let out. I was watching it like just as like a spectator, you sort of go, oh, the guy I'm watching is in the lead, and then the fact that you then went again into the lead, like that, like how was that? Was that just based on because I've done a couple of 5,000 meter track races. There weren't many thoughts going on in my head during the race, other than just like keep going, keep going. Like, how do you like? Is it just based on you have a plan before the gun goes, and then like, do you ever think about it, or is it just instincts?
Um, I think it depends on what athlete you are, but you're asking about me. I don't have
Yeah.
a plan going in usually. Like a lot of it is instinctive. Like
Mm.
maybe my only plan is like just in general, don't cook yourself in the first half. Don't cook yourself on the first lap. Uh, that race was a little bit different to how I usually race. I usually don't start that quick, but it's it's a very unique situation where
Hmm.
I I wanted that race to get off quick because no one is really expecting a quick race, and I think that would have demoralized a lot of people who were hoping for a slower race. But
Yeah.
it was that was a very unique situation. You look at that, I don't usually race like that, but I like to think that I have relatively good racing instincts. Like I know generally when the right move is to be made. Obviously like, I don't make all the right moves all the time, but in general I know when the right moves need to be made. I know where to position myself. I know I can sense when people are tired and then you can go. I sense when the pace is slowing, so you make a split-second decision, like, do you continue to slow or do you continue to hammer? And then you just live with your choices, right? Like once you put your foot down, there's no turning back, no regrets. So I mean,
Mm,
as long as you run a race that you can be proud of, that you tried, that's what most important. I do think that a lot of times people run scared. They run not to screw up rather than running to win.
yeah,
And I completely understand that because fear of embarrassment, fear of disappointment, fear this, fear that. But the best thing is to run without fear. A lot easier said than done, but that's why when you see a runner pull it off, like racing without fear, uh, that's something that's very inspirational. I mean, that's why like guys like Steve Prefontaine are so live on long after their death, right? Like obviously a lot of Nike marketing behind that as well, but he really raced without fear. Obviously, the if you keep doing the same thing and you keep blowing up and you
yeah,
run way below where you're supposed to be performing, then that's not just racing without fear. That's racing without brains. So
yeah.
you need to race without fear, but within control, as well, which is a difficult and delicate balance to strike. But I think for the most part, I've managed to do that. So yeah, just whip yourself into shape and then run a race that you can be proud of. But I mean, a lot of it is done in the training, right? If you're not in shape, no race strategy is great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, yeah, this, I think this is where having having had the experience you'd had in previous camps, sea games, like I think that all pretty factors in as well. Like if you go and say to an inexperienced runner, like tomorrow, go to park run or go to your local 5K, 10K and just go and be brave, they'll probably just DNF because they'll go out like like Ua did and set a 3.75K PV, and then you've still got 10K to go in a 10K. So
But I
it
mean, yeah, I think, but you see, ru- it's very, but you see, if you look at it, someone like Uğur, our viewers and listeners might not be super familiar with Uğur. Uğur is a a British Turkish guy
yeah,
who trains with us, Dan's best friend, basically. They started running around the same time, which is really after COVID. So you think about it, like Dan and Uğur, and even to a certain extent, Josh Mitchell, who is a 2:17 marathon runner, Uğur is a 2:19 marathon runner. They have run good sub-elite times that are very competitive in most races that you go to, but they are also very new runners, and this speaks to the level of talent that these guys have. But because they're so new, they're also prone to like some of these amateur mistakes, right? Like Josh has made a whole list of amateur mistakes. Uwer's race execution is a bit um, questionable sometimes, but he still manages to pull off like pretty good results. So that actually speaks a lot to his talent. Like just imagine like he paced it properly.
yeah.
That
They're
that
both,
that's a
they're
that's
both
something to think about.
experimental in their own ways.
Yeah, that's
Josh
a polite way to put it.
and Ua experiments with different pacing strategies.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, experimenting and trial and error is part of
yeah,
the sport, and in some ways, to experiment, you either have to be naive or brave. Naive, we're all naive when we first start out. And then we start to make mistakes, and then we start to have bad races, and then we grow up, and then you kind of know what you can and cannot do. And then that's when experimenting takes being brave. Because if you know the risk is there, you know, you're less likely to do it. When you're naive, you don't know what the risk is, so you just go, and sometimes you get lucky, and you're like, oh wow, yay, you know. But if you know the risk is there, that's when it's really risky, right? Like
mm,
that's when it's really scary,
mm,
right? And then that's when you realize, oh fuck, now I need to be brave enough to get after it. And in some ways, sometimes I do feel that uh, now my race results are a lot more consistent, but sometimes maybe I should just take that big swing and like see if you can see how far I can go. But
yeah,
at the same time, you only get so many races a year, so sometimes most of the races are not worth that kind of like crazy risk. But
yeah,
it's a huge project in terms of figuring out what the next step is, how fast can you go. Once you know something that works, people don't really want to change.
yeah. And particularly when it is like a big one-off event, like a big marathon or the Sea Games, like what do you risk? I don't know. If you think, oh, if I approach it pretty conservatively, I'm pretty sure I can get third place. But
Yeah,
actually, do you go for the silver? Do you go for the gold? Like I think
yeah,
that's what a winner is. A winner is the one that is brave enough to take that chance, I guess, most of the time. Or they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
or they're just like levels above. But
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I was
yeah,
just gonna say, like, sometimes if you're good enough, you can win no matter what strategy you use, and that's when you really own the race.
yeah,
I mean, Jakob Ingebrigtsen had said on a podcast like 4 years ago or something like that. He was like, "My goal is to get good at." Because someone asked him about his race strategy, like whether he likes to sit and kick, finish fast, whatever, and he was just like, "My goal is to get good enough that no matter what strategy I use, I still win." And that's a really, really like ballsy thing to say when you're counting the competition that he has to go up against. He did end up winning that year, the Olympic Games, the COVID Olympics in Tokyo. But obviously, hasn't quite won any global 1500-meter outdoor championship since. It's just such a competitive event, right? Like
yeah,
to win, no matter what way you choose, means you need to be levels above Josh Kerr, Jake Whiteman. Who's the guy, the Portuguese guy that won last year? Poor guy, no one remembers his name, even though he won last year. Cole Hocker. I mean, these guys are the best in the world, and Jakob wants to be good enough such that he can do anything and still beat these guys, which is very difficult.
yeah. When the competition's that high.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I mean, should we go to the next? Probably. Would you say the 10,000 meter, the silver medal? Would you say that's probably the race you're most known for, or is it just like a viral clip?
I don't know. I mean, I've never asked people what I'm most known for, but I would say that was a hugely pivotal moment for me because
Mm,
uh, it's funny, right? Because I have been banned for so many times, not so many times, twice from the SEA Games,
yeah.
uh, because of poor conduct, so to speak. And then on my first appearance back at the SEA Games, this clip goes viral, and the entire, not just entire Southeast Asia or Indonesia, but the entire world is circulating this clip, and and like raving about how much sportsmanship this athlete has, oh values, oh like such a great representative of his country. Which in any other situation I would just be like, yeah, whatever. But in this case, I thought it was really funny because the very organization that had suspended me for multiple years, now they were very, very quiet.
Yeah.
And you could tell that it wasn't a very they were they were not a neutral, unbiased behavior either, because in any other situation, if a Singaporean athlete had did that, they will be all over it. The officials will be all over it. Creating content, like sharing it, speaking about it in Parliament, the establishment figures, and all that kind of stuff. For me, globally, yes, globally there was a
Yeah.
lot of noise around it, a lot of celebration around it.
Mm,
Back home, around the people that would usually be on these things from the establishment, zero, nothing.
mm.
So, but to me, I observed it and I laughed and I was like, yeah, that shows what kind of people you guys are, especially the president. The president was the then president who had to resign because of extramarital affairs, Tan Chuan Jin. He was celebrating all the other athletes, not all, but a lot of the other athletes who won medals. Congratulations, so and so for your silver medal. Congratulations, so and so for the gold medal. Congratulations, this and that. Blah 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 blah. On my and then I and I won a silver medal in the 10,000, right? He congratulated the people who won a medal before me. He congratulated people that won a medal after me. He very conspicuously left me out, and I didn't just have the medal. I had this viral clip that
Yeah.
everyone was shouting sportsmanship, and then there were people who went on his page and asked, like, "Are you not going to congratulate Rui Yong? Rui Yong won a medal too. We're waiting for your post." It was hilarious.
But I guess it's one of those things. I think actions speak louder than words.
100%.
Like,
There was actually there was one incident in the games village, the Sea Games village. Okay, so we were living in in some like hastily completed accommodation in the middle of some very kind of forsaken place in Cambodia. It was literally like someone had teleported accommodation into the middle of nowhere, and that's where we were living in Cambodia. The stadium was in the middle of nowhere, The sports facilities were in the middle of nowhere. Accommodation was in the middle of nowhere. This is what happens sometimes with some of these games. So we were having breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the dining hall, but the dining hall was in like we walked in the dining hall, and they told us dining hall was on the fourth floor of this building. I went up, and it's like this looks a bit odd. There were air conditioning units like pumping air into the hall. But we looked up and down, like this looks a bit odd. I looked at my friends, my teammates. I was like, does this place look a bit strange to you? Like, it's not a dining hall. It looks like it's repurposed for a dining hall. And then we started seeing ramps going up and down. We're like, guys, this is a car park. The dining hall was in the middle of a car. Literally the fourth floor of the car park was the dining hall. Yeah, and then if
That's
you walk up one floor, right, the fifth floor is incomplete. There are like pipes and like the walls are not complete and like there's like broken concrete everywhere. And then you're like, oh my god, this is like a ghost a ghost town scene. And you go back down and there's a dining hall. So in the dining hall, there was one day where three uh, VIPs, very important people, were supposed to come and visit the Singapore team, and it was uh, Teo Chee Hian, who was formerly one of our deputy prime ministers, and then there was Minister Edwin Tong, who was the Minister for Sport, and the Speaker of Parliament and the SNOC President Tan Chuan Jin was supposed to show up and visit the team as well. And then we got this text in our group chat. We were like, "Oh, we are these three VIPs are coming to visit." And then people looked at me like, "Rui, Tan Chuan Jin is coming to visit." I'm like, "Let's do it. Like, I'll make sure I'm there to receive him at lunch."
yeah.
So, but they were like, I'll make sure you wear the right attire, whatever. I know what to do. So I wore the right attire. I went down. Minister Teo Chee Hian came, like had fun, took a photo with him. Minister Edwin Tong came, like had fun, took a photo with him. We had good chat and lunch, everything. And then we waited and waited and waited and waited, and Tan Chuan Jin never showed up. And
Mm,
then later, I actually did ask, like, how come this guy didn't show up? And eventually, it got circulated through the grapevine that when he heard that I was gonna be there, he like abandoned the plans to show up. I
right.
don't know. I can. There's no way for me to confirm if that's actually true. He can come on this podcast and talk if he wants. I'll be more than happy to have Tan Chun Jin as a guest on this podcast. But uh, yeah, if that's true, then that kind of shows the level of biasness, in my opinion.
Mm. Uh, but do you think at that
I mean, that's
point,
just petty, right? That's just being petty. If true,
yeah.
that's very petty.
But do you think, because my observation as someone who sort of has known you since 2023, really since then, is that, you know, you don't sort of like you can't win over everyone in the same way at the same time. But I kind of feel like from where you were, I guess, with certain people, um, don't know if the establishment is the right word for it, but I kind of feel like sit between then and where you are now. I kind of feel like you probably have much better relationships. You have a really you've done a lot of things that prove actually, actions that speak louder than words, right? And I guess what is that kind of the approach you've sort of taken in general, right? Like, even if certain people aren't quite ready to forgive or whatever it is, or some people just never, not everyone's going to like you, right? So do you just
100%.
continue with the sport, continue with focusing on your objectives and just doing the right thing?
Well, I think yes. I agree with that mostly. I
Mm,
also do think that there's a difference between being true to yourself and being an asshole and like injured. I have done things that may some people may classify as being an asshole. So just try and do less of those things and try and do more meaningful things. Try and do more things that are beneficial and help as many people as you can. Like you said, not everyone is going to love what you do, right? Like
yeah.
I'm not a religious person, but not everyone loves God. So what chance do you have? What chance do I have?
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, best players in the world. There are hundreds or millions of people, or there are millions of people that hate Ronaldo, and same for Messi. In fact, all the Ronaldo fans probably hate Messi, and all the Messi fans hate Ronaldo. Not all, but a lot of them do.
Which is so weird. I don't even know, like, where could you even begin to hate Messi? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what has he done to you?
Well, exactly. That's what I ask. Sometimes I ask people like some people tell me, oh, I hate Nick Bester. Right? And
Mm,
I'm like, have you met him? No. Has he done anything to you? No. Why do you hate him? Oh, I just think he's annoying. Or my
yeah.
friends don't like him either. I'm just like, well, what the fuck, dude? Like be more objective.
Yeah.
I like to tell people have a spine. Like
Yes.
get
Yeah.
to know things for yourself, think critically, and then form your decision. But I also need to accept, we all need to accept that the world, most people are shallow. Most people are lazy. Most people don't care. Most people just take things at face value. And if people are gonna tell you like, oh, this guy sucks, you're probably gonna think that guy sucks. You know,
Mm,
if your friend tells, if your friend that you in general like and trust tells you this product is worth a try, you probably more likely to try it. If it tell you it sucks, you're never gonna try it,
mm,
right? Uh, so same goes for these things. Like if I were to care about reputation and brand and everything, and like it or not, as an athlete or as a public figure, reputation and brand is part of the play. Uh, if you want to make money from doing sports, it's not just how good you are; it's
mhm.
how marketable you are and how useful you are to brands. And if you have a ton of followers and a clean record, it definitely helps.
Mm.
If you're engaging in your content, it definitely helps. Obviously, if you're a girl, you got hot and you're hot and you got nice tits, that helps as well. But when we're talking about this, I get it. Like we try and do what we can. We try
Mhm.
and be as productive as we can. You don't need everyone to like you, but like it or not, sometimes being too good at what you do makes you enemies. So what are
Yeah.
you gonna do? Are you gonna
Yeah.
slack off and suck just so no one notices you and hence no one hates you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't you just can't win sometimes. If
Yeah,
there's someone has to
yeah,
win the in anything with sport in life,
yeah.
someone has to win, someone has to lose, and
Exactly. And actually, right before I came and did this podcast with you, I actually met with a guy called Calvin Cheng, who he took me to one of these like exclusive British clubs in London. Like I know nothing about this scene, but I had to wear like my Hugo Boss suit
oh yeah.
because there's a dress code and all that kind of like old British colonial stuff. Uh, so I had to do that, and then he's very well connected with the establishment, and we were having lunch and having a good time and everything. He is well connected with the establishment, but he's also a businessman and he's retired. And now he just invests for fun. So
Yeah.
while he's connected with the establishment, he's not reliant on them for a living, so he can just say whatever he wants. So he's quite vocal and on his political commentary and all that kind of stuff on social media. He actually like he caused a big uproar before the elections in Singapore last year because he's a very outspoken figure on the Israel-Palestine conflict and amongst many other things. But we had some very very some people who are very supportive of the Palestine cause in Singapore. There's a
Mhm.
huge Muslim population in Singapore. I think that's about 25% of the Singapore population, give or take. And Calvin was he riled people up big time because he made a post on his Facebook saying, if these ladies are so supportive of Palestine, I will pay a business class ticket to send them to Palestine to support the cause over there. The only condition is this is one-way ticket. They're not allowed to come back. And needless to say, there were police reports being made against him for wounding religious feelings. The Muslim population was incredibly angry with Mr. Calvin Cheng. Uh, he and then he had to and it was near the election, so the ruling party, the People's Action Party, the PAP, actually had to call him in. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong and everyone got involved. Had to get him to go to the mosque and hug the religious leader from the mosque and take a photo and basically tie it down. And then Calvin later went on holiday to Lake Como. I think that he was asked to take a leave of absence out of Singapore before the elections to let things cool down because
Mm.
he is in close quarters with the ruling party and it would have cost them votes. But I was just having this chat with him, and he said, oh, when I told people I was meeting you, people said that you're an opposition supporter, or you're anti-establishment or anti-government, you're opposition supporter. I'm like,
Mhm.
Calvin, first of all, I live in an opposition ward in Singapore. My MP is the leader of opposition, Pritam Singh, and the ruling party has given up on my area. They have zero presence there. I have never seen them walking the ground. I see them. I don't see them. So can you blame our neighborhood for voting for the opposition? Like, you guys don't care. So, da da. We support the team that is like carrying us essentially. And
Hmm.
on the other hand, I'm on good terms with Minister Edwin Tong, who is the former minister for sport, now minister for law. Obviously, didn't have the best of relationships with Tan Chuan Jin. I've got a good relationship with the leader of opposition, like Pritam Singh. So I'm not anti-establishment. I'm anti-stupidity, and that exists in the establishment. That exists in the opposition. And not to say I'm the smartest guy in the world. I've done stupid things as well. But I do think that when you're in position of power, like try not to act like a petty like vindictive dumbass for the most part. So yeah, to your point, like I have I moved up in terms of like being friends with more people in the establishment. I do think so, but I think that's also like more and more people start to understand where I'm coming from, and
Yeah.
less once people understand where I'm coming from and who I am as a person, they're less likely to see me as a very antagonistic, like anti-government figurehead, which I'm not. I'm really not.
And I think as well, like I think a lot of maybe what you've said uh, in the past was sort of just clipped, taken out of context, quotes written down. You can read a WhatsApp message from your mum, and it's like, oh my God, she's so angry at me, and then you call
Yeah,
her, and she's like, oh hey, no, just wondering. I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
you've been
No,
speaking
exactly,
more on podcasts, and you do your
exactly. And I
Instagram
think that, and
reels.
that's why there's a value when people say talk less, listen more. There's some knowledge and wisdom behind that because the more you talk, the more things can be taken out of context. Um, I actually don't enjoy talking about myself a whole lot, and this might sound like counterintuitive coming from someone who started a podcast called Run So Fast Podcast, which is literally my company name. But I started this podcast to talk to guests and interview guests, and I want to ask more questions than answer questions. And for the most part, I think I've managed to accomplish that. As a host, obviously you talk, but I'm
Yeah.
not talking. I try not to talk about myself. This episode is different because it's about myself, and you're the host. And it was by popular demand, right? Like apparently, even though I don't like talking about myself, people enjoy hearing about myself, so I give, try and give the people what they want. But in terms of talking, I always think that you learn more when you ask questions and I mean, you can talk, but ask questions so that you learn from other people.
Hmm.
I mean, there's some people that obviously love talking about themselves, and
Hmm.
but by asking questions, you can kind of separate the bullshitters from people who actually know shit.
Yeah.
This applies to coaches. This applies to athletes that you get to know, people that you get to know, politicians, ministers, whatever. Everyone can put on a nice front. Everyone can memorize some stuff and say nice things. But when you ask questions, then you really get to see who knows their stuff.
Mm. There's not enough. I'd say there's not enough listening, and there's not enough reading, like doing your own reading these days. Like you read the headline, and then you just assume that's the position you have
Oh,
to
some
take.
lots of people comment on the head. They read the headline, they post like comments, and then they form their whole impression without even reading the first paragraph of the article. It's crazy, and
Yeah.
it's not getting any better with the TikTok attention span and all that kind of stuff. It's not getting better. You know,
No. No.
I
I
have
think.
28-year-old athletes that don't bother reading articles, and then they just like, oh, it's just I was just too lazy to read it. Like so. This is what I think. I'm just like, no, like this is the definition of uh turning off your brain. Then what's the difference between you and AI? In fact, AI is better than you. AI is gonna take your job.
It's definitely it's in everyone's interest to keep reading and listening. Um,
Yeah, but I mean, we're two guys that, without sounding elitist, you went to Oxford, you got a PhD. I didn't go to Oxford, but I'm finishing with an MBA at London Business School, and I got a law degree. So I like to think we're a little bit above average when it comes to like applying brain cells. Uh, but there are lots of people who are educated who don't apply brain cells. So
Yeah,
what have you?
yeah. I don't even think it's just everyone has the ability to listen, and even if it's just, you know, just I don't know, just you don't have to have a strong opinion on everything as well. Like if you haven't taken the time, if you literally don't know what you're talking about, then just don't have a strong opinion. But I'm going to take you back to the cup thing. as in the drink thing. So I know you've spoken about this before in other podcasts, but do you? I feel like sportsmanship is quite a big deal. Like I think it's globally. I think everyone wants to see the top athletes performing to their best, but I think they want to see people do it in the right way. And when you came second, did you have any people that sort of questioned whether or not you should have been more competitive and less compassionate and you should have, thrown the water over him and then gone for the win? Because some people would have done that. They wouldn't maybe not have thrown the water over Ricky, but they might have not handed the
uh,
drink, right?
I mean, people all come in all shapes and sizes, which is what makes the world such an interesting place to live in.
Yeah.
Some people believe that how you do it is better than what you do or
Hmm.
what you achieve. Some people believe that win at all costs. Using football examples, there's Jose Mourinho and there's
Hmm.
Jurgen Klopp and there's Pep Guardiola. Using football teams, a great example now. Arsenal just won the Premier League, but I somehow feel like they're not getting the respect that usually champions get. Like when Liverpool won last year, I felt that it was a lot more celebrated, a lot less hate in general directed towards the club. I've never seen that much hate directed at a champion.
Hmm.
Obviously, like there are other examples when Leicester won, you couldn't find a single real hater against Leicester. Like the whole world was celebrating how amazing it was that Leicester City won the title. Not just that they won the title, how they won the title. Like swashbuckling their way through like all these like stacked teams. Yes, like no, none of the other teams really performed in the year 2015 to 16, but Jamie Vardy like scoring 11 games in a row and all that kind of stuff. Like it was amazing to watch, and it just struck. And I guess when I watched the Champions League final, I know how people felt because when I when I started watching the Champions League final, in my heart, I was rooting for Arsenal. Why? Because 20 years ago, I watched the 2006 final with my dad in Singapore. It was like 3 a.m. in Singapore, whatever. The final was in Paris.
Mm.
Thierry Henry was leading Arsenal out against Barcelona. That Barcelona team with your Ronaldinhos, and your Henrik Larsson and all those guys. Like it was an amazing lineup. Two very like attacking, beautiful football teams who were about to play each other, and then of course Jens Lehmann gets sent off like 10 minutes in or something like that. And I felt that the referee should have given the goal and Barcelona 1-0 up, let the game continue, play it out for the rest of the game, 11 on 11. But the referee called the game back, sent off Jens Lehmann, and kept the score at 0-0. But now Arsenal's playing the whole game with like 10 men. And then
Mm.
Sol Campbell actually scores from a header. And then Arsenal just tries to defend like crazy for the whole game. And they actually do a good job of it until Henrik Larsson comes on and sends in two through balls that Barcelona scores. I think it was like Samuel Eto'o and Giuliano Belletti, if my memory
Mm.
serves me right. And then I was quite heartbroken. Like I really liked Henri. Like he had run his balls off that day and like really like couldn't even stand at the final whistle out of exhaustion. And waited 20 years for Arsenal to have a shot at the Champions League again. So I thought like, I liked Wenger, I liked Thierry Henry. This would be nice to see the team win 20 years later. And Arsenal again scored really early. Kai Havertz scored really early in the final on Saturday. But then the way they just set up shop after that and tried to play like negative football. In fact, they want to dive 19 seconds in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it was a Leandro Trossard like just dived 19 seconds in. I was just like, okay, we see where this is going. And just
Mm.
the way Arsenal played such negative football for the
Yeah.
rest of the game, in my eyes at least. Gradually, I started rooting for PSG. I'm like, you know what? I
Yeah.
just want PSG to equalize now. Like, fuck it.
Yeah. The
I can't
team
wait
that's
for them to equalize. And then
because
after PSG equalized, Arsenal kept hanging on for penalties. So it was really the case of, by the end, despite PSG being much the better team, it was going to penalty shootout, and then you're like, oh shit, man, Arsenal could actually win this, even though they would played like anti-football for like the better part of 2 hours, and PSG ended up winning. But that is a very long football example that brings us back to what we're talking about now, which is yes, I do believe that how you run, how you race, that can define you as a human being and an athlete much more than what you win.
Mhm.
There are lots of Kenyans who are running very, very fast times, but nobody really knows them or nobody really cares simply because uh, they haven't given people a reason to care.
Yeah.
And
It's
and and yeah, I mean, it's how you look when you're running. Obviously, like when why is Phil Sessamon standing out? Because
mm,
he's one of the top in Britain. He's a white guy, a good-looking guy. Ryan Hall back in the day, 204 in Boston, leading a lot of the race. American, blonde hair, blue eye, long hair, like blonde hair, like flailing in the back while he's running against all these like bald Kenyan guys. So he stood out and he looked cool.
mm,
And I'm not to say like do cool things for the sake of looking cool, but when you look cool and you command a certain what the Gen Z kids call aura, you're more likely to win a fan base. And
mhm.
guess what? In this sport, your fan base is what gives you value.
Yeah. I guess it's a combination of two things, and I think they're kind of interlinked in a way. I think it's entertainment. I think sports, some more than others, like it is a form of entertainment. Like
Yes.
it's a competition, but you want to be entertained as a spectator, right?
Yes.
And you don't
I mean,
want, yeah.
exactly. Because guess what? Like a spectator watching, like why is a spectator watching sports for entertainment? Exactly, you're right. But
Hmm.
for entertainment, you can watch anything. You can watch a anime, you can watch a movie, you can go out and do running yourself. You can watch porn. You can surf through like TikTok. So like as a sport, you're competing against all these other things for your fan base. And guess what? Like, if you don't appeal to your fan base, no one's gonna care, no one's gonna watch. I know like athletes who have like in the local context of Singapore, I'm not gonna name any names because it's not so nice, but I know athletes who have retired with SEA Games medals and national records with a whimper. Like no one cares, no one misses them because they didn't like these people. The community didn't like these people. They didn't feel like they were very inspiring. The way they did things was like maybe to a certain extent win at all costs. People who are protesting. There have been cases of an athlete or athletes, like I'm not going to say singular or plural, at the SEA Games, like a collision happens in front of them, an athlete falls down, Singaporean athlete finishes like way behind the medals, but in fourth, and then tries to protest against the bronze medalist to get the bronze medalist disqualified for clashing with someone else. Then we're like, uh, as viewers, we're like, what the fuck? Like, you were not involved in the collision. Oh, but in the name of sportsmanship, I want to stand up for the person who got affected and fell down. Shut the fuck up. You want a bronze medal. You want the medal. You want to be upgraded. That's what you want. Like, don't hide behind the name of sportsmanship. You're a little bitch.
Mm. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
and
so no
that's
no
the
it,
benefit of it, right?
exactly. And sometimes like sometimes it actually happens where it goes through and then the athlete has a medal. Then you know there are medals and then there are medals. It's how the medal was won. You know, in what sport.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, if the end result is getting a SEA Games medal, then please don't do athletics. There are many other sports that are more easy to get a medal in and less painful of a sport as well,
Hmm.
right? There's some sports that are less competitive and there are only four teams. So statistically speaking, 75% of the people will get a medal,
Hmm.
right?
And
So
I don't even think that's a conscious decision. I think I think I think you can correct that sort of like instinct, but there was no part of you when you're in second place behind Ricky where you're thinking, if I just like nudge him a few times, if I just click his heels a few times, like that will break his rhythm, and then I can just come in and kick
yeah,
for home. Like that
I
never
mean,
even comes
to
to
be
my head,
very
right?
honest, my brain is not working at that point of that race because
Mm,
guess what? It is maybe 8 kilometers into a 10K race in Cambodia, 35 degrees. We've been going 20 laps around the track. You're dehydrated, you're tired. Yes, I paced myself better than everyone else in that race, but I was ready to be done. And I see Ricky miss his bottle, and I managed to grab my cup and I drink a little bit and I pass it to him. All this happens instinctively. You don't really have time to think. Like,
no.
you know,
So what 'Cause- but you've raced against athletes. I'm sure you've been shoulder barged, you've been kicked, and you've seen some stuff like
yeah, I mean, well, that's the one. Remember that one race we did at Wimbledon where I was trying to pace you, and then that guy just cuts it in front of us. You saw me. I mouthed off at him. Like I'm not, and that was instinct as well. Do you think I think about what I'm gonna say before I call someone a CUNT or whatever it might be? I don't. It happens instinctively.
Mm.
Road,
Yeah.
you think people think about what they're gonna say when they're having a road rage incident? No, all this is instinct. So it does showcase, I think, who you are innately as a person. So obviously, when I see someone miss a drink, my it seems like my base instinct is to help. And I
Hmm.
think that is a quality that I want to keep. At the same time, you have also seen when people barge into our way in a race, I'm also fully capable of mouthing off and telling them to FO.
Yeah.
So,
But
so
that's coming from a similar place, I think, of like your instinct is let's have some decorum here. Let's respect each other. We want to
yeah, yeah.
compete.
But I
But
mean, the whole thing about this world is that everyone's values are different. Everyone's sense of
mm,
decorum is different. Everyone has a different expectation of where what things should be and what sportsmanship is, how a sport should be played. Which is why it's hilarious to hear Roy Keane talk about how how he would say the kids these days care about more about their hair, they're hugging and kissing before the game starts. Like play the game, play the game. You're going to war, play the game. Or I mean, I bet you Roy Keane will watch that clip of me. I was talking to Sean about this yesterday, Irish Sean, but I sent he sent me that clip of me passing the water cup to someone else. It's still going around, and this is
yeah,
like more than 3 years after the fact. It's
yeah.
still being circulated on social media, and I said, what would Roy Keane say? And then he laughed and he said, I would love to know. And I said, he'll probably say, sportsmanship, give me a break, or maybe that's his job.
He
I
would
don't
have
know.
had no time for that at all.
Yeah, exactly. And I enjoy watching Roy Keane play. I enjoy watching Roy Keane play. I enjoy watching Roy Keane comment. I
Yeah.
enjoy watching Roy Keane, take the piss, wind Gary Neville up. I enjoy watching Roy Keane. So it's not as if I don't identify with Roy Keane, but it's also like your upbringing, right? Roy Keane probably had a rougher upbringing in Cork,
Yeah.
Ireland, than I did in Singapore.
Yeah.
Probably grew up a bit more rough, a bit more like Conor McGregor than Rui Yong. So exactly, like this is the world, and
Yeah.
so, which is exactly why you see when you see international sports like and running is one.
Mm.
Some runners run very differently from others. Some
Hmm.
tend to follow you closer, step on your heels. Some tend to barge you, and then um, in general, you observe enough, you kind of tell, oh, when a runner is from this country, how is he gonna run? When a runner is from that country, how is he gonna run? A lot of it is also like environment and upbringing,
Mm.
values.
But I
Yeah,
do think there is a global sense of like right and wrong still because I think
you
there was
think
that
so?
other there was that well I think so. I there was that other viral clip. I don't know who this guy was. I think he was like a French marathon runner. That guy who like literally ran through
Amduni, Morhat Amduni, I think that's his name.
as his yeah. That rings a bell. He just literally went da 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 da, knocked all the
Yeah, and then he
bottles.
grabs the last one. So when you watch, and it's funny because his clip is always played right before my clip. Like whenever someone does a stitch reel, so they'll show like these are the two types of runners that you might meet, and then it's more hard like in the Tokyo Olympics, knocking down like 20 bottles in a row and grabbing the 21st bottle, and then it cuts to me like Ricky dropping his bottle and then me handing him a cup. So when you watch that clip, do you think Mohad Amduni did it intentionally, or did he do it on accident?
It's like 20 bottles. I I feel like I feel like that's so it was too many bottles for it to be accidental, right? Like
So, Julian on our team from France, like Julian did grow up watching Amdouni. So Julian gives him the benefit of doubt that
Mm,
Amdouni may have done it accidentally. But I said the same thing to him. I was like, Julian, it's about 20 bottles. Like, you cannot blame people for looking at it and thinking he did it on purpose. And then if you look at the comments, right, like and this is delving into the realm of controversy, but there are a lot of people who are making comments, oh yeah, it's always this type of people. It's always
yeah.
this type of people. It's always this type of people. And I mean the first instinct when we look at it is like, oh, that's kind of racist. But at the same time, it's also when you look at the people getting busted, when you look at people caught cheating, when you look at people using drugs, win at all costs in sports and all that kind of stuff. There's a reason why some countries are on the ban list or on like high alert, or on the WADA list, and Kenya is on high alert. Sorry, no, Kenya is on like high alert or red or whatever, for example. And in Morocco, there's a long history of drugs in the sport and EPO abuse and all that kind of stuff, which I think Amdouni represents France, but I think he's like Moroccan by birth or by
Mhm.
descent or by ancestry or whatever it might be. So when the culture tends to be more win at all costs, like desperate to win at all costs, that's when these things happen. So you put two and two together. Oh, he knocked 20 bottles in a row. Uh, maybe if he was blonde hair, blue eyed from Great Britain, there's more benefit of doubt. But I always come back to this example. Whenever people ask about doping, whenever people say, oh, da, 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 like this person from Russia is definitely doping. In Russia, sure. This person from Eastern Europe is definitely doping. Then I always come back and say, if Paula Radcliffe's name wasn't Paula Radcliffe, if
Mm.
she was like Paula Rosmanowski and she represented Poland or Ukraine or Russia rather than Great Britain and ran 2:15, would you assume that she was clean?
Mhm.
No, people will assume that she doped. So much of benefit of doubt comes from what you look like, your country's history,
Yeah.
culture, da da da. So we have all formed quite judgmental views about people before we even get to know them or meet them.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you thought I was Portuguese from my name.
it's a human brain attempt to sort of put together
Streamline.
evidence, and
Yeah.
it's not even evidence, but you know what I mean, like just data, and
No,
I know.
it's survival. It's survival. It's
Yeah.
survival. Because if a person who dresses a certain way and has a certain color of skin, uh, is statistically more likely to rob you or stab you or beat you up than a girl who's 4'9" and looks like Mia, like Asian girl, for example, then of course the brain picks up on it, processes it. You before you even know it, you're crossing the other side of the road to avoid these situations, or you don't feel safe, so your guard is up, your phone is in your pocket, da da da. It happens. It does happen, and that's survival. And I think um, that's why we wear suits to interviews, or that's why we dress nicely to go to interviews. For if you're trying to get a job, you don't go in with shorts and a singlet, you know. Even if you graduated from Harvard, you dress the part,
Mm.
right?
Unless
When
you're
is the
going
last time you went? What do you do for work? Actually, I did not introduce this at the start, but what do you do for work?
I am a medical communication specialist.
Okay. And you run your own business, is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like a contractor, like
Uh,
a
okay. But even then, when you speak to clients for the first time, like you wear like I see you're wearing a shirt now, you probably came straight from work.
yeah,
Like you wouldn't wear like a t-shirt or singlet, even though there's no dress code for you.
yeah, yeah. There's like a unwritten, expectation, I guess.
Exactly.
You should be
Exactly.
wearing,
So while I want to push the message that people should be less judgmental, we still have to play the game.
but
It
still,
sucks.
still dress appropriately though.
Still dress appropriately, yeah.
I mean that is an incredible segue if we want to go there. We could jump around in time, but I feel like dressing up for suiting up for a marathon. I feel like
That was a good one.
the biggest things you've done. I would argue. I mean, you might argue differently, and I'll ask you this question in a second. But the biggest things you've done, I guess, for me, since I've known you in the last few years, like like the coaching business, your MBA, but even in a running sense, like I would say, like like your profile, the performance at the CE Games 2023, the double up challenge, the Guinness World Record for wearing a suit. Like these are pretty like big things to do. Um, would you say, even though they're more publicly known, would you say how do they compare to winning those gold medals for the marathon
I
in?
think part of it is recency effect for sure.
Mm,
Um, I do think that if I could only choose two achievements, it would still be the two SEA Games gold medals. It was just
really?
like, way back in 2015 and 2017 where social media wasn't quite as powerful as it is today.
Mm,
And honestly, the running boom wasn't quite as powerful as it is today either. But
Hmm.
I do think if the 2015 and 2017 gold medals have been won like, 2023 and 2025 instead, the impact is much, much more. But
Really?
that's life. That is life. I do want to get in shape and like try and get another marathon medal at the SEA Games. But it's also one of those things that because I've done it before, I also move on and try other things. Like,
Yeah.
double up challenge was very challenging. I was very happy to pull it off. Guinness World Record, very niche, but also very challenging. Not everyone can say they broke a world record. It's right there.
Hmm.
if,
Yeah.
if if your screen is big enough, you can see it. Coaching business, wanted to do it for a long time. Finally got down to doing it. I think a lot of it is like just getting started is the first step. And you had to leave your job at some point and start your own thing.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of inertia. There's a lot of like, am I good enough? There's a lot of should I do this? But at the end of the day, like, it's your life. No one's gonna come and like run it for you. No one's gonna come descend from the heavens and save you from your predicament in terms of
Mm.
like, what should I do? So if you feel something is right for you and you feel strong enough about it, I would say just go ahead and do it. And that's how I've gone ahead and like done a lot of these things. Um, don't be afraid of failure. Failure does happen from time to time, but in terms of like choosing all these goals, like I kind of knew I could do this if I prepared for it.
Yeah.
I kind of knew I could do this if I business if I like put a lot of heart and soul and grind into it.
Mm.
And apart from that, I do know that I love running and I do love like coaching and I do love like working with people. Um, Sorry, I love many parts of coaching. Some parts of it can be a bit annoying, but there's any job. I mean,
Yeah.
the same as running, right? Like we all uh love running, otherwise we wouldn't still be doing it. But that doesn't stop us from complaining when it's hot and we have to do like a 90-minute long run or uh when we have to do like a 3 by 10K marathon session or a 5 by 5K marathon session when it's like cold and rainy out. So there are always parts of your hobby that, even though you love doing it, we still find a way to complain about it. So just find something that, for the most part, you see yourself doing for a long time and do it sensibly. Like running, my main thing about running is, I mean, a lot of the things I'm proudest about running, they don't appear as headlines, but I'm
Mhm.
very proud that I have run for so many years, never needed surgery. Uh, the only injury I had in recent years was when I first met you, when I was with Phil Kissy, and trying to do his 3 sessions a week kind of like left me with a very sore back and tight hip. So never went back to doing that. That was my last like big trial and error as far as big change went. I do still try and error sometimes, like double threshold. I've tried a little bit of that. Just as I say that, the ambulance is coming. Completely unplanned.
That's not a
But I
symbol
also
you're using. That is a genuine ambulance.
but no, double threshold. Not for everyone. I found that it helped me for certain parts of the year, for example. I wouldn't do it all the time. And now we're experimenting with something new, which is the team, instead of doing Tuesday, Saturday, we're doing Tuesday, light Thursday of 200s, and then Saturday. So there's always ways to improve and tweak things and get better.
Mm.
There's always ways to keep things fun and exciting. There are always new members of the team. There are always new members that you meet through new friends that you meet through running. All these things all add up to make a very fulfilling experience, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and do you? Because I feel like from when I've spoken to you and when you've spoken about this on other podcasts, I feel like before COVID and maybe before the 2023 Sea Games, like you were just very locked in on running. And I think in terms of your focus and your life, like your training was very much your focus. Um, and very much focused maybe more on sort of gold medals. Um, do you feel like now because it seems like you seem to be embracing life around running, like running's at the core, but you seem to be getting more maybe from the outside anyway, from someone who knows you seem to be getting more from the people and the culture and you know do you find that is that a conscious thing?
I think that you're absolutely right. I don't think the two have to be mutually exclusive. You can continue to train well
Yeah.
without necessarily being a monk about it.
Hmm.
I do think that earlier in my years, I mean, I was brought up by Coach Stephen Quek, who in many ways is the Mr. Miyagi of Singapore distance running, or the Alex Ferguson of Singapore distance running, which is very much controlled environment, discipline, all in no uncertain terms. I spoke about this on Totally Running, episode one, but in no uncertain terms, he told me about when I was about to enter university, sat me down, not sat me down, but after a long run at McRitchie Reservoir, spoke to me about, okay, you're going to go to university, social life is going to be a big thing. There's going to be there's a time for girlfriend, there's a time for family, but if you really want to focus on doing running, now is probably not the time.
Mm.
So, in no uncertain terms, like don't get distracted by girls going into university. And because I swore by Stephen Quek, Stephen Quek's teachings and wanted to be the best athlete I could be, I was like, yeah, no, social life bad, pop, shut it out, like not gonna touch that. So the very mention of anything social would set off alarm bells in my head, and I'll try to be as far away from it as possible, which I don't think is necessarily the way you have to do it. You don't have to be extreme. you know and if anything, like I've been more social, and as far as time allows, I've been more social, more relaxed, less. I wouldn't say I'm less locked in. I still come in and do all the session. I still find ways
Yeah.
to get better and improve. uh, am I carrying a few more kilograms from a few extra beers if I've had compared to earlier in my life? Maybe. Does that necessarily make you slower? Maybe, but there's also other things that you can derive from your community and everything that makes it more fun and enjoyable and sustainable. And whereas if I was locked in all the time and trying to be a pro the whole time, even though we're all doing this as a hobby, not as a pro, then it's a lot less sustainable. A very simple example, like we've built a great squad, the Battersea Bandits,
Yeah.
around London. We train 3 times a week. Now, what does it take to keep a squad together? It means that every member shows up as often as they can, and me as one of the founding members, if not the main founding member, now that Richard Bull is seldom around, I have to be there because I set the sessions, I set the culture. I do want to ask you on quick fire, if I die today, who takes over the Bandits, but we'll leave that for later. So I have to be there, and when I'm there, that means that I session with the group, which means that I'm not necessarily doing the session that is best for me. If 10 of us are doing the session, unless we're all 10 of us are exactly the same fitness level, not all 10 of us are having exactly the same benefit. And even if you're all the same fitness level, everyone has different DNA, different genes, biology, whatever. No one's getting this exactly the same. If I say 10K raise effort, everyone might be a little bit off each other, but for the sake of the group, we run together, right? So what's the alternative? Is instead of doing sessions with the group, I avoid groups because like I don't have time to do that. I focus all my time on me. I focus all my time on what I want to do. I focus all my time on like what is the specific workout I need to do to the zero point 0.1 lactate molecule level, or whatever you want to use as your accurate prediction of what's the proper um, intensity,
Hmm.
like how the Ingebrigtsens do it, right?
Yeah.
That's how Jakob Ingebrigtsen grew up from the age of 10, training like a professional athlete, and everything was individualized for him. But that's very extreme. And obviously you don't have much of a social life, and you don't
Yeah.
have much of a group, because if you're optimizing for yourself, unless you find a group that's doing exactly what you are doing all the time, it's very selfish by the way, but like you find a group that does exactly what you are doing all the
Mm.
time, and everyone is happy to just be your cannon fodder and be there for you to sucker punch in sessions, then it's very hard to figure out something that works like that. You can, but
Mhm.
that's the difference between training alone
Yeah.
or training with a bigger group. In fact, a lot of the quicker runners on the, like for example, there are professional runners around Battersea Park, especially on the women's side, that train alone. Rose Harvey trains alone.
Yeah.
You know, maybe her fiance, sorry, her husband Charlie on the bike, and then there's one training partner Ben that she pays a bit of money to. Sorry, I take that back. I don't think she pays him money, but he shows up to train with her because it also works for him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's happy to do that because he doesn't have a coach. So, but you see, the drawback of that is that she doesn't have a group like a group like we do, social energy, da da da, and so there's always a trade off, right? So
Mm.
So imagine I let's say I'm coached you, and I'll say, okay, Dan, the bandits not specific enough for you. You're gonna do this. You do every session alone. Da da da. In the short term, maybe you get better results, but is it sustainable for like 5 years? Do every session alone, or 8 years? Do every session alone? Probably not. The
Yeah.
bandits, 3 years has flown by. Do you know it's been 3 years since the band? Sorry, it will be 3 years in 4 months' time that you've been training with the bandits.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it kind of flies by.
I like to keep sort of. I'm quite sentimental in my older age now, so I keep track keep tabs on these things.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think particularly for longevity. I mean, I think I would last 5 weeks on a solo program. At this point, like the group is everything.
right.
Even like if I compare the weekend just gone to the weekend before, one weekend I'm solo and my splits are terrible. The next
Yeah,
week I'm like a different runner. It's that huge for me now.
there you go.
But I guess as well, like when you've got a group, like you do kind of need to, you don't have to be intense the whole year, but you can't afford to just stop running completely, right? So I guess if you have that enjoyment, you can keep your fitness up, and then when you have a particular like goal or marathon that you want to do, then you can lock in for a few weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's not a either or thing. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like I, like you asked whether I enjoy a lot more things apart from running. Yes, I'm not locked in like 100% like I used to be maybe, but I still enjoy. There are times to like do more general. My general fitness sessions, I'm more than happy to do it with a group, even if it means like running slower paces or whatever it
mhm,
might be. General fitness anyway. And then when the time comes to sharpen up, you have seen I've gone off to Thailand or Japan to kind of like do a 3 week, 4 week training stint, and then like bang, still managed to run the times that I'm trying to run. And I think that's basically how I ran the 10,000 meter national record last year, like 30:33. Um, After doing lots of sessions with the bandits and then going there to sharpen up, like going to Asia and sharpening up by myself and then going to race.
yeah. And when you do that, when you've gone away to various places in Asia to sharpen up, I don't think I've ever seen you sharpen up here in London. Is that just coincidental, or is it just conditions, acclimatization? Like,
I don't think I've ever like, approached a key race from London. Like the last few weeks, especially if I'm racing in Asia,
yeah,
I like to spend the last few weeks in Asia. Otherwise, if you're really flying in and then racing on jet lag and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
you know, not the best. I mean, I've done some hard sessions in London. Remember that session where Josh and I did 3 by 5,000 meters on the track to get
yeah,
ready for Valencia. So we have done some, and then the team was like coming in to do, and then we were running like 15:49, 15:39, 15:20 for me, 15:25 for Josh, and the last one. Like there were some big sessions we've done here.
yeah,
So I wouldn't say, but you're right in the sense that here, because the group is here, I generally do a lot of uh, running with the group here, which keeps me fit enough such that when I need to sharpen up, when I do go off for competition, I can do it.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm not against doing it here. Like if I have to, I have to. I'll do it here.
yeah, yeah. It must be. Yeah, it's part
I
coincidence.
might I might be doing it in the coming months because I do have that Tracksmith 5,000 meters at the start of July. Um, yeah, I was supposed to race this 3,000 meters in Wimbledon in 9 days' time, but you see me wiping my nose this whole uh, episode. I've been struggling a lot with hay fever.
Yeah,
The pollen in London in the summer. I feel like it's getting worse every year. So I've literally been wiping my nose the entire time we've been on this
yeah.
podcast. It's
Is
been
does hay fever exist in Singapore? Is that?
no, no, no. We don't because it's so humid. I think the pollen doesn't really fly around as much. I don't know whether that makes sense from a science point of view, but we don't have
Yeah,
pollen trouble in Singapore. But yeah, it's been quite. It's come to the point where sometimes I cannot sleep properly because my nose is completely blocked. So
yeah,
if I can figure it out before the race, great. Otherwise, like I'm not gonna add that on top of what I'm dealing with already, and that kind of sucks because I do love the London racing scene, and Wimbledon
yeah.
puts on good races.
I do think London isn't the easiest place to race in the summer. Like, because you've been here a few summers now, and like, it is like weirdly hot. And I think a lot of the
Yeah,
a lot of the track races, they're all like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, like the hottest point of the day, and there's like often like hay fever. Or I don't know if it's like pollution in the air, but like
Wind.
it's not optimal conditions. I don't think, is it?
Yeah. I mean, the trifecta that can really screw up your London summer track race, it's hot, windy, and hay fever. You get those three in the same race, yeah, good luck.
That was
But I
like,
mean, that's why you get guys like Brandon Dewar going off to Belgium or Dominic Nolan going off to Belgium to do
yeah.
these track races that they end up running their PBs at, right? Dominic Nolan, shout out to him, half Malaysian, half British man who ran 13:44 and broke the 47-year-old Croydon Harriers club record or something like that by 2 seconds. So, and he there was a comeback 5,000 meters at Battersea Park the Friday. Dom said, nope, not for me. Took a train out to Belgium on the same day, and the next day raced 13:44. Would he have done that at Battersea Park? Probably not. I
No,
mean, I don't
not
think. I mean, he'll probably agree with that, which is why like you spend money to go take a train out to Belgium, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, not on the Battersea track that needs urgent refurbishment. Um, so what? Yeah, what is next then? Because you've got Sean Go, that's about 1 second behind you now on your heels.
Yeah.
What
Well,
what is your focus really?
sorry, say again.
What would be your focus from like a running standpoint at this? Like,
Well, I mean, this year my focus has always been, I always start from December and work backwards because December is the Singapore Marathon National Championship. So I want to be in the shape that I can be to win that one. That will hopefully be my seventh title in a row. Trying to get to 10. I should have been at 10 by now, but we missed 3 years thanks to COVID.
yeah,
So I'm only at six marathon titles with a half marathon title from last year. So seven in total from the Singapore Marathon, six fulls and one half. Um, and if I can keep it going a couple more years before the rest start catching up and making the gap smaller and smaller, that would be good. I actually only won by 2 seconds. I only won by, sorry, 4 seconds last year. Aaron
Mm.
Justin Tan, who was on episode four, was just 4 seconds behind me after a last 200-meter sprint to the line. But I think that in general, my that's my that's my goal for the year, and then I work backwards. It's like, okay, what can I do in November? November, I can probably go to Japan and do some 5K, 10K track races. Maybe that's where I'll try and like crack new PBs and maybe national records at those distances, and then I work backwards. October, maybe I can do a half marathon somewhere. I work backwards. September, I probably should be training. August, maybe I can do a track race, or maybe I should be training. Um, and then July, and then now we're in June already. So yeah, so maybe I'll look at Belgium. Yeah, now the more I talk about it, the more it looks like a good idea. Go out and do a 5,000 or a 3,000 there. Get away from the hay fever. Get away from the London wind and the heat. I mean, London is a fantastic scene, but like you said, sometimes the conditions are a bit unpredictable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. You don't want to have you kind of balance traveling and the impact that has versus just
Exactly, and money, of course. Like, we don't have infinite resources to go around. So if you're gonna spend like 900 quid or 500 quid or whatever it might be to for a quick trip to Belgium to do a track race, I need to multiply whatever I do by two because my wife want to come. So yeah, suddenly, and then it's like, oh, since we're there, can we stay a couple more days, make a holiday out of it, and then suddenly your trip becomes a full blown trip. Yeah, I mean your race becomes a full blown trip. Uh, yeah, I mean part of it is also when I travel with my wife. We're not gonna be young forever, so I also like to take her to as many places as I can, and that means like not just seeing the hotel and the stadium and coming back. We're not
yeah,
professional athletes in that sense, so we also try and see what's around, but that takes time, and then every day you're away from training base also means more disruption. So I do like the training. I do like training with the squad day in and day out. The racing for the big races I enjoy. It's the small races that are a little bit more annoying because they're like, okay, like if it's a small race, is it worth going to Europe or Belgium for? And if it's not, then like maybe let's just do Wimbledon. And then you do Wimbledon and run like last year I ran 14:46, and then later that night Brandon runs like 14:27 or 14:23. I
yeah.
can't remember what he ran. You're like, hang on, I'm not that far behind Brandon you are. Maybe I could have broken the national record that day. Yeah, but whatever. But like you said, like this, I think this is the summer of 5,000 meters for Sean Go because he
Mm,
has came off altitude. He actually just converted to become a professional runner, so
hmm.
I cannot break the news before his company does. I have already invited him on the podcast to talk about it, but the company's PR team said to wait till after the races in June to come on the podcast. Which I'm like, dude, like we're not fucking the BBC, right? Like we are we're the Run So Fast podcast. Just come on and have a chat.
Mm,
But all right, I mean, like professional PR team, do whatever, right? But he just ran 40:45. He's got another one coming up. I don't know when. She mentioned it to me before. I forget.
Belgium?
But not Belgium. Is it Austria, Vienna, maybe?
Okay, so not far away from Belgium, so it's a good
Not far
area.
away from Belgium. Yeah, I mean, I have full faith that Vienna can put on a good meet. But essentially, yeah, he's gone full time, trained at St. Moritz for a month. Uh, actually, like I I'm gonna get on a podcast on Wednesday with the founder of Insight Track SG, which is basically a database and news site covering everything about track in Singapore. Because he actually dropped me a text. Amir, his name is he dropped me a text saying, "Hey man, like Sean's run really makes me recognize how strong that 14:44 that you ran at the national record is because like I did it with basically no competition,
Mm,
like hot, humid, no super spikes, and then like Sean basically threw the kitchen sink and came up a second short. Now, in my opinion, Sean probably can get it in his next race because sometimes
yeah,
it takes one or two to like
yeah.
bust off the rust before you go out and get it, right? So I do think that Sean can probably go out and get it this summer.
Mm,
If not this summer, next summer, like he's not exactly on a ticking time bomb.
mm,
So but at the same time, it's also a process, right? And pressure can be a thing. Like I don't think people need to be rushed to perform,
yeah.
but I do think that if he keeps going the way he does, he is really a distance running monk. Like no girls, no parties, no alcohol, nothing. Train, go to bed, double sessions, go to bed, da da da. Uh, Listens to his coach, I think pretty much 100%, and he goes ahead and does it. So power to him. He should, yeah. So let's stay tuned. I wish I knew when this race was. I think it's at the end of June, maybe. Yeah, towards the end of June. He's got some other races in between, so he'll be fully occupied.
Yeah, I mean, it's just annoying when girls get in the way of your PBs, isn't it? So,
Yeah. That was my problem.
um, great. Well, I feel like we could probably talk for hours. Should we do a part
Yeah.
two?
Yeah, we can do a part two now that the audience knows who you are. And if you guys liked Dan's hosting skills and personality, please leave some comments. Give us a like, share, and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify. We are already at 21 5-star ratings. I think totally ranks at 47. So we are only a week old. We'll catch up. Ewan and Jack, we're coming for you. But otherwise, thank you so much for listening to episode 5 of the Run So Fast podcast. Dan, did you have fun?
Mate, I loved it. I feel like I know you in such a different way now to before.
All
Also,
right.
I guess we should be wishing Romain good luck for the weekend, right?
Yeah, Romain, if you're listening to this, good luck for the weekend. No pressure. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy Taiwan. The last time Romain raced in Hong Kong, funny fact, she got a ton of like Hong Kong boys following her on Instagram after. Like literally, it was like a ton of Hong Kong boys following her on Instagram. She screenshot and sent to me. She's like, "What's happening?" So, may that happen to you in Taiwan as well, Romain. As we as she has answered on the podcast, would you rather date 15 years older or 10 years younger? She did answer 10 years younger. I'm sure there are lots of 21-year-olds in Taiwan, Robin. So have fun. Have fun. Dan, if you were not married, would you rather date 15 years older or 10 years younger?
Oh wow. Oh God. And it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, that's not
Oh.
fair because I'm so. You should have asked me this like a couple of years ago. Because
It's
now,
easier for you now.
is it? I mean, yes, in a way. In a way, I actually it's more acceptable to go lower, I guess, than it was before.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm 36,
Yeah.
which means it's 51 or 21.
No, no, no. It's 51 or 36. 26. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
oh, I
I
just,
said 15 years older or 10 years younger.
oh, 10 years. I was doing 15 either way. Okay, so
Oh,
this is,
I mean, since you suggested it, we could go 15 either way. So will you go 15 years older or 15 years younger?
yeah, I think the older you are, I think it has to be 15 younger.
Yeah.
Um,
Or
um,
okay, since you're on the wrong side of 35, like would you rather date 10 years older or 15 years younger? I think that's a more accurate
yeah,
pitch.
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I got older. I,
Okay, so
I,
46.
I just, yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
that's
deal
that's good.
yeah, you can't deal with the kids.
It's do you know what it is now? Is that when you're working a job now, and the graduates are coming into the workforce, I have no idea what they're talking about, and also they, I mean, you know what it was like when you were in your early 20s. You thought, I'm an adult, and look at me, I'm out in the world, and I look at them and they just look like kids to me now. So,
I mean, we got Mia and the bandits, and from the
mate,
text she sends, like I get a relatively good idea.
she's basically a teenager. How old is she? Like 22?
uh, Graduated LSE 2 years ago.
Okay. So 23 probably.
Yeah, yeah. I think she looks more like 15 though, so I get what you mean.
Well, yeah, she's coming on soon, right? I don't want to say too much, but
If I died tomorrow, who would take over the bandits? Or the bandits die?
I was thinking about this actually after you said it. You gave me a preview of the question.
Yeah.
I think you've been secretly coaching Stefan. I think Stefan has gone to Singapore. I think he's secretly like forming the Singapore group there, and then he's going to come back to London and he's going to take over upon your unexpected death.
Do you think Stefan has the personality or the time to take over? Given that he's got a busy job, two kids, demanding wife.
I can't say that.
I hope Amelia's listening to this.
I feel like
Nah, I mean, Amelia's super supportive. I mean, that's why Stefan can do what he does.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the kids will get older, they'll get easier for him, and also I think they'll help build his character as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they'll be the youngest members of the squad once he has any say in the matter.
exactly. Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting to see. Do they have park run in Singapore?
They do. I have never participated in it. I've actually never done a park run in my life, and I think that's a brand that I'm gonna stay true to the end of my running days. I'm never gonna do a park run, but I do think there's park run in Singapore. I don't know whether it's certainly not at the same level as the Battersea Park Run,
No.
um, in terms of quality, but I don't know. Like, long story short, I don't know what it's like. They do have park run. There's a website and
Okay.
everything. I just don't know what it's like.
Well, I guess they'll be Stefan's kids will be doing maybe junior park run in Singapore soon. Then I think he has to be like he's like 4 years old. I think is the cutoff. Like I think it's like it's illegal to make a 3-year-old child run 2K or something.
There's actually a very there's a running club in Singapore called the Singapore Shufflers, set up by uh a British couple. And Amelia tried applying to join that group and she got rejected because she has a coach being me.
Oh.
Um, so basically this club, I think it's a great club. I've actually been giving them a shout out on every episode, both the good and the controversial, but they are very active. They have sessions twice a week, maybe with a long run at the end of the week. And they have a nice orange and black striped singlet. Lots of expats, not many Singaporeans. They have beer at races, which is why I got to know them. They handed me a can of beer. I think this was like in 2018,
Hmm.
and A6 City Relay, something like that. But they is a little bit territorial in the sense that, if you're part of the club, you're like all in. You can't run with anyone else. You can't even do an easy run with someone else.
Hmm.
You can't have your own personal coach. You only can do club sessions. You only run with club members. Da, 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 da. I mean, I'm sure it reminds you of a coach that we've been under in the past. So Uh, what do you think about that? Like, is that something that we should implement in the Bandits? We would
Uh,
lose like 70% of the team, by the way.
yeah, it's true even in some clubs, run clubs in London as well. I've seen it happen.
Run clubs, like you're talking about influencer run clubs.
No, like like Clapham Chasers, not Clapham Chasers, but clubs of like that.
Okay,
I don't want to name them on the pod in case somehow.
yeah.
But there's definitely members in those sort of running clubs that feel like, yeah, they definitely do not want you. They are not happy. They would. It's almost like school playground. Like, oh, like they start talking shit about you, and oh, I saw they were racing for that with that in that club's vest last weekend, and it's these are adults as well. These are like 40-year-old, 50-year-old adults, and but what I love about the bandits though is that like it doesn't matter if you're in Asia or London or whatever, like you can be Cottage, you can be Clapham Chasers, Belgrave, as long as you align to, yeah, similar set of values and yeah, as long as you're happy to jump in and not be a dickhead, then
Yeah, yeah,
you can join.
yeah. I mean, whenever our bandits have a recruitment request, they will ask me. I mean, they're nice enough to ask me first, like, Rui, my friend is coming. Can I
Yeah,
bring him? My first question is like, is he cool? Or like, is he a nice person? I mean, is
yeah,
he cool? Basically, is he an okay guy? And so he's an okay guy, he can join us, right? And like, keep showing up. I mean, if you stop showing up, then eventually, like, you also get removed from the group because it's of no use to you to keep getting messages that you're not using. But yeah, like I I do struggle with coaches who think that their athletes shouldn't be running with anyone else
mm,
apart from the members of their own group. Like they're so insular, such a bubble. It's like, oh, are you gonna get Are your runners going to get contaminated or something by running with people from not this group? Like it's a very much I don't know. It's a bit of an ego problem for these coaches, if I may say so. Like,
mm,
first of all, no coach has secret training. Second of all, even if your secret training is leaked, doesn't mean that people are gonna like capitalize on it and like sell it and make money. Da, da, da. It's a really and third of all, with the internet nowadays, no one has a secret program.
no,
Come on, if you think you got a secret program, come on. Like you can find out most of what Jakob Ingebrigtsen and Josh Kerr are doing, and lots of top athletes on Strava. Who cares about you?
yeah,
I'll just go study them.
yeah, and see if you can do it. Like here it is. If you
Yeah,
can do it, then great. But I probably wouldn't recommend it. But
exactly.
I don't know. I think a lot of it is just petty, insecure people, isn't it? It's just,
Yeah. I
I
mean, they exist everywhere. They exist everywhere. They exist in jobs, people who are, I don't know, divorced, managers, thinks that everyone should work on Sunday simply because they got nothing better to do on their Sunday. They
yeah.
call you back to the office. Yeah. On that note, I think I outroed the episode about 7 minutes ago. Um, so, like you said, we could probably go on for another 2 hours, but
Yeah.
for the sake of our listeners, I did get some requests for 4 hour episodes though, because some people really enjoy listening to it on their long commutes and runs. But I think we'll try and keep it to 2 hours and change. So thank you very much, Dan. I'll see you tomorrow for our session, and
Yeah.
we'll plan our next episode very soon.
Cool.
Cheers.
See you.